Hello. Welcome aboard, everyone. Welcome to Archival Adventures. I hope that you're having a good midweek. It is somehow Wednesday. I don't know how Wednesday arrived, but it's here, which means it's time for an adventure. Because, yeah, this is the show where I share things from archives and special collections here at Virginia Tech, and we look at them and see what we can learn. So, today we are having our second visit to the diary of a teenage girl in 1861 Mississippi, I think it is. Yeah, Diary of a Confederate Teen. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Hello, Matt M33. It's great to see you. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Lord Portico. Welcome, everybody. I hope that you are, as I said, having a good week. So, yeah, the Francis Murdoch Journal. This has not yet been updated with additional biographical information that I have located, because I just haven't had the time yet. But yeah, it has some good info about like who, a little bit about who she was. I know, and it's not in here, that later in life she married a rather important person within the justice system of Baltimore. So yeah. Hi, Stephen Joyce. Matt, my guess would be a bit. If you'll recall, the last time we looked at this journal, there was quite a bit of religiosity in it, and so I don't expect that that's going to change. Although, I mean, one of the main themes of the journal was she did not feel that she was good enough at practicing her religion. And indeed, in addition to that, which right now it's kind of hard to see, our O counter is in place because she, in her journal, she has what would be a verbal tick, a filler word that she uses a lot, which is "oh" with an exclamation point. And so I have updated the counter to indicate the number of O's that we have encountered so far, which is 10. I doubt we'll increase the aspect counter, but it's there always. And the O counter will likely advance from 10. That would be my guess. So yeah, let's dive in. If we remember last time, her sister got sick and then she got sick. That's all I remember. Meh. You still get a few more of those. Oh, misspells? Yes. Okay, let's see. Where did we end? I think we ended here. I don't know for certain. I don't think we've done June 13th yet. If we have, then we'll do it again. So let's see. Because I do know, I remember from last time, which I remember heard the Federalists had made a mistake and killed 60 of their own men, uniforms of both sides so much alike. Because, of course, this is the American Civil War. And, yeah, while one side wore blue and the other side wore gray, as is commonly known, it was hard to tell them apart. Dark blue and gray. Not super distinctive from one another. Anyway. June 13th, Thursday. This day, President Davis, because of course, different perspective here. And honestly, I've read some Civil War stuff, of course. I work here. But I haven't read much of it with this sort of perspective. This is a civilian perspective because this is a teenage girl. And so usually, like, from a soldier's perspective, they'll talk about a little bit about the politics or the people in charge. This is a teenage girl. She just called him President Davis because Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States of America, and she's a teenage girl in Mississippi, so he's just President Davis. This day, President Davis has set aside for prayer and fasting. Oh! God! Come 8 down... Come 8? Down into the... That doesn't make sense. Come... Down into the midst of thy people this day to each and to all, and make it a day which has never been heard of in the Southern Confederacy before. Give. Oh! Give. Nope, not. I hit the wrong button. I'll fix that. Give us success. Give us victory. Spare. Oh, spare us. Does anybody give us aspect? Does this make sense to anybody? Because it sure doesn't to me. All I see is the word EIGHT, but I'm guessing that I'm reading it incorrectly. Because that would be a capital E. And it wouldn't make sense anyway. Come right? RIGHT? I think that makes more sense. Come right down into the midst of thy people. Anyway, apparently June 13th was a holiday, but one for prayer and fasting. June 14th, Friday. June 14th, I don't know if it had any special significance to the Confederate States of America. In the United States of America, June 14th is Flag Day. And I believe, isn't June 14th Bastille Day in France? I don't know. The only reason I remember June 14th as being an important day is because it's my brother's birthday. Okay. June 14th, Friday. Knew all my lessons well. Feel happy again. Jesus will hear me when I cry. How sweet it is to feel that with all our shortcomings, Jesus will save us and owns us as his children. Oh! July 14th is Bastille Day. Thank you. Oh, that all would think about this. Are I almost got that sentence. Okay. Here we are again. Act and would. Where I'm struggling is here. This, let's see, this, I think this is A-R-E at, okay, let me get some context. That all would think about this. Something, and would remember their loving I have no idea what that word is. It's capitalized. Sam's children all would think about this. Subject. This is subject. Exact subject. Okay, here we have what looks like a capital E again, whereas before it was an R, here it's an X. That all would think about this exact subject, and the clue is this is the cross that goes with the X. Congratulations, Steve enjoys you've been randomly selected as a VIP for the stream. Enjoy the digital gemstone and the ability to affect pun points. Hi, NeoGets. Yes, this is the slash that crosses the X. It is below the line and not even under the letter itself. Okay. That all would think about this exact subject and would remember their loving something. B-E-D-E-C-M-U. No! Oh, I see what it is. Hello, handwriting. Redeemer. See, this has a little bit of extra challenge for me because the subject matter is so steeped in Christian religious language, and I'm not super familiar. But yes, okay, so she's talking about she knows that Jesus will be there for her, and oh, that all would think about this exact subject and would remember their loving Redeemer. Went over to Mrs. Snodgrass's and Breckenridge's and had a very pleasant time at both. Miss B's were out. Cabol? It looks like Cabol, which I'm assuming in this case is somebody's first name. Cabell came in to see me and made himself quite agreeable. I'm now wondering if there's somebody named Cabell Breckenridge who lived in the area. We might be able to find out. I have resources. Shall we look? This is what I do when I end up transcribing these, is that I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find out the actual name, verify information. Let's go databases. So this is the library's website. We have access to the Ancestry Library Edition when we are physically on campus here. And we do use it quite a bit in doing the biographical notes. Okay, so I want... and this is... It's Jefferson County? Yeah. Mississippi. Whoops, I clicked on the wrong screen. And it's 1861, so we'll say roughly, if she's 14, I have no idea how old this person will be, but we'll throw in 1850 and just see what we come up with. Okay. Can we zoom in? Possibly. I mean, this is Virginia, which is not Mississippi. So I don't think this is gonna be the person, but that name is very close. Oh, apparently we're having a thunderstorm right now. So if you hear thunder, so I probably, with a little bit more digging, I could probably track down specifically who it is, but just knowing that, okay, this is apparently a name. It's not one I've encountered before. But in that time period, Kabul as either a first or middle name appears to have been a thing. So, so I'm guessing I probably have read it correctly. And it would appear that it is primarily a male name, at least in that time period. So somebody came down and made themselves quite agreeable. Okay. June 15th, Saturday. A very, very warm, uncomfortable day. One of the warmest we have had this summer. Nellie on horseback and Katie in the carriage came over to our house, and Mrs. Copland, Nellie, and I went walking to Bethel, and on our return, meeting Mrs. B's carriage, we got in and it carried on very badly for young ladies in a strange carriage. We'll learn a lesson by it. Apparently, it was hot. They went on a trip, and when they were returning, they got picked up by Mrs. B's carriage and were a bit raucous inside, which was inappropriate. Seems like teenage behavior to me, though. June 16th, Tuesday. The Holy Sabbath. Sorry, not Tuesday, Sunday. The Holy Sabbath Day. May I have a sweet refreshing from the Holy Spirit, that I may give a holier, or that I may live a holier Christian life. Mr. Hall preached a Yeah, no, that's what it says. Mr. Hall preached a very sermon on thrive to enter in at the straight gate. I don't know what that means. Oh, that this may be my aim through life. Why do I doubt our Savior and have so little faith? Lord, increase my faith. May this be my daily cry. May I every day pray more. Something, and strive with all my energies to be a Christian, a growing Christian, and working. That is a puzzling word, given the letters it appears to contain, and what I CARNISTLY, which doesn't make any sense. Is that a word? Like, At first I was like, okay, maybe it's supposed to be convincingly, but no, it's not. It's not honestly, which would make sense. I have no idea what word this is. This is probably a case where I would just type the letters that I see, put it in square brackets with a question mark. Because... This is also the option. Type it into a search engine, and because they do spell check when you type in something that's complete nonsense, sometimes you'll get suggestions of what it might be. And indeed, Hannah, it is earnestly. Which, the only letter I was reading incorrectly was the first one, which is an E, not a C. I guess also I was seeing that as an I. If I had gotten that as an E. Both E's I got wrong. But yes, it is earnestly. Okay. So again, her journal is very much, I'm not good enough at being Christian. Please help me be better at this. Which, oh boy, can you imagine what society was like where that is the main narrative of most journal entries of a 14-year-old girl? Because God sees not a man, for man something on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. Oh, man looketh on the outward appearance, but God looketh on the heart. I thought Protestant Christianity's main premise was that it was impossible to know if you were being a good enough Christian. I can't say for sure, but my impression is that even if that is what they say, in practice, you're never good enough. I can't really say for sure, though, because I have not really been a part of that since, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And then, Lord, make me thine. Went to Cochrandale, which is definitely Cochrandale, even though I have never... I spent time looking for Cochrandale. I can find nothing. No mention of it. It's not on any maps from the era that I can find, although most maps from the era don't go really far. They're not super detailed for that area. So it would have to be a big place. But Cochrandale, I can find no mention of it at all, except this journal. So, went to Cochrandale on the children's bright, sunny face. Okay, that is what it says. I have no idea what that means. went to Cochrandale on the children's bright sunny face as they sang those sweet little hymns. Okay, that sounds more like Cochrandale is not a physical location, but an idealized space. Because I would expect, like, she was transported by the singing of the young children, but now I just have no clue. Little drops of water, I want to be like Jesus. Oh! That will be joyful made happy. I was also happy at night. All my class listed. All my class listed A? I'm not sure. It does seem, and sometimes she'll just start a sentence with one thought and then a completely different thought ends the sentence. I know I've seen that. Listen, I don't know. Something like, because at the very end she's like, she was also happy at night. Something about her classes. Listen. I don't know. I'm not certain the ending of this final word here. And the next page is not going to help with that, so. Okay, but now I'm very curious. What is this Cochrandale? If it is a metaphysical place, not a physical location. I really have no idea. But that's definitely what it says. There is a Cochrandale Cemetery in Mississippi. I wonder if that so she's on a plantation. It is Cane Mount Plantation in Mississippi, which I have discovered is actually a historic inn and like bed and breakfast today. The main house that was built for the family is on the National Register of Historic Places as an example of a certain architectural style. So, Cane Mount Plantation, Wikipedia has it being in Lorman, Mississippi. It is definitely along the Natchez Trace. It was built for the Murdoch family in 1855. And it is on the National Register of Historic Places as a prime example of Italianate revival architectural style. And there is a wildlife management area that surrounds the B&B today. So there's not actually like much in the way of a town nearby. Lorman is sort of the closest place. And there's some outdated information, like because it has sold, and the plantation is the wildlife management area now, but the house, which is in the middle of the wildlife management area, is a bed and breakfast, from what I can tell, that is sort of separate. I don't know. I have explored most of these. And actually found some good information. I actually, the image that I used for today, for the cover for this episode is actually from the documentation that was used when it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. So, like, I have more information on it, but yeah. Still don't know Cochrandale. Although it appears there is a Cochrandale cemetery in Mississippi, so quite possibly that would be relevant. All right, so we're going on to Monday, June 17th. Knew all my lessons pretty well, except my geography. It was very bad indeed. Well, maybe that's because you keep referring to Cochrandale and it doesn't exist. I must make up my mind to study harder and learn my lessons better. Have just returned from Mrs. Daniels. Ma and I went down late in the evening, and they insisted on our staying until after tea. We stayed and had a delightful visit. Expected to go riding with Katie and Nellie, they having made the engagement to come, but did not keep their word. A good man's word is as good as his oath. She's quite put out that they didn't keep their word. You can tell because she put in a quote about people keeping their word. A good man's word is as good as his oath, the wise man says. May I consider my word just so sacred. And then she says, I love Christ and trust him. June 18th, Tuesday. Got up early this morning. A cool, pleasant day. The ladies meet here today for the first time to sew for the soldiers. Ah, okay. The ladies meet here today for the first time to sew for the soldiers. Mrs. Breckenridge and her two daughters, Miss Hallie Lucian? I'm guessing Leucian, but I'm not certain because there's a smudge. And Mrs. Crane all remained until late in the morning. Johnny went down to I think it's barber at Rodney. I think it's just misspelled. I think it says barber. Got something telling me it was originally Cochrane Plantation. Probably. Got split into two after the owner's death into Cane Mountain and Cochrane Plantations. NeoGuts, that would make sense. That would mean that a location on the plantation she's referring to as Cochranedale, but that name hasn't survived to today in the information that I can locate, at least, or that I have managed to locate. And yes, these pages are in fact torn, and so they've been inserted into mylar sleeves, because this has not had preservation, or like, yeah, it hasn't gone to the conservator, like the engineer's journal that we did. Okay. June 30th. Oh, that's a jump in time. It was June 18th before, so now it's June 30th. Cave Mount. I have omitted writing in this for 2 weeks. Begin tonight, Sabbath day. How do I stand something as a Christian? All right. It's right on the tear, which means it's difficult to figure out what the letters are. Oh, actually no, it's not. It's not hard at all. There's just a scribble. A scribble with the word. It's how do I stand as a Christian? I got up this morning with a cold feeling on the subject. I had sinned so very often in the week by giving away to my by giving away to my temper when I got up. I felt as if oh, that's a break. There's no punctuation. I had sinned so very often in the week by giving away to my temper. When I got up, I felt as if I must have made the sad mistake and never could have given my heart to Christ, because I felt if I had, I could never have sinned so. Then, added to this, there was cold indifference, which made it still and I think it's just still and more alarming. This evening I was reading a book named Daughters at School, if somebody wants to look up that book. Which spoke of God, great, long-suffering with sinners, and as if by God express purpose, I turned to a portion in the Bible which dwells on the great compassion of our Savior, determined at that moment to go humbly to Christ and sue for pardon. This took place on the left-hand course of our front gallery. There I received pardon. Oh! May I begin this very night to pray for help, to do away and crush this my besetting sin, now which, self-will, the great blot in my character. Oh God, make me a true Christian. This is the sincere desire of my heart. Well, we're getting more O's. Oh, you found it. And boy, yeah, I'm not terribly surprised. Although, like, this 14-year-old is very concerned over religious stuff. All right, daughters at school. This is on the Internet Archive. It looks to be, oh, scanned by the Library of Congress. Smithsonian. Daughters at School in a series of letters by the Reverend Rufus W. Bailey, Philadelphia Presbyterian Board of Publication. Collected and published as they were originally written. They originated in a desire to meet the expressed will of a dying mother that two daughters of tender age should be educated for eternity. In all other respects, they explain themselves. Well, if anybody wants to read it, it is freely available on the Internet Archive. And it looks like it was published in 1857. I'm slightly curious as to whether we have a copy of it. I'm guessing we probably don't, but now I'm gonna just check. Yeah, we don't. Our catalog just points to the digital version that we just saw. July 1st! We've reached July. Monday. Today is a warm, rainy day. About 7 o'clock, we had quite a storm. I'm not certain whether that's a 7 or not. A great deal of hard wind. This evening is quite cool and pleasant after the rain. Aunt Essie and cousin Ellen were to have come down this evening, but Cousin E had a sick headache, to which she is very much given. Stormy day. Cousin Ellen had a sick headache, to which she is very much given. Sounds like a migraine. Brought on by weather. I can sympathize. Which prevented their coming until tomorrow evening. Mr. and Mrs. Watson drove over in the buggy this morning and made a long, pleasant visit. Ma tried to prevail on them to stay and get some ice cream, but they declined, on the pretext it looks too much as if we might have rain in a very short space of time. Johnny went over to St. Joseph's this morning and has not returned yet. He must intend to remain over until morning. He leaves us in a most unprotected state, with no white male anywhere near. She originally wrote with no male, and then went back and amended by adding white. We are in the hands of God. Why should we fear? I hope if there is any insurrection in this neighborhood, that any death may not be a slow one. I believe that I should not be killed anyway. I believe that Ben or Henry would come I believe that Ben or Henry would save Johnny and I anyhow, as they say they like us so much. I'm assuming that Ben and Henry are two of the enslaved persons on the plantation, but I don't know. Still, I wish to die too if Ma is killed. We live in dangerous times. She's mentioned the war. She mentioned the war in June in a couple of entries. This is the first time where she's like showing that she is worried about it. Hope if there is any insurrection in this neighborhood that my death may not be a slow one. And the fact that there's no white male nearby makes it prompted her to feel sort of unsafe. That seems perfectly reasonable for a 14-year-old white girl in Mississippi during the American Civil War. And that is, I think, more of what I was expecting. The self-recriminating analysis of her ability to be a good Christian, I didn't expect to take up quite so much space, but okay, so that was July 1st. Now we're on to July 3rd, Wednesday. Right? We skipped a day? We did. Okay. This a day never to be forgotten, but one hardly to be recorded on paper. Yet, I suspect she's going to record it. First, I was very impolite to Mrs. Copeland. She got very angry and we had a blow-up. At night, I went down in the schoolroom to see Ma and Mrs. C with very sugary feelings toward Mrs. C. After staying there about half an hour, Ma told me to go to bed. No, very angry. I was like, sugary? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. I went down to the schoolroom to see Ma and Mrs. C with very angry feelings toward Mrs. C. After staying there about half an hour, Ma told me to go to bed. I came upstairs with the feeling I was very meanly treated and had done nothing to merit it. This feeling continued until Ma came up, and after talking for some time, turned and said, "Fannie, you are not only losing your character by this, but you are ruining your soul." Oh! What a dagger went through my heart then. She little knew. She little knew what an impression she had made. Oh, we're actually having some advertisements forced upon us. So I'm gonna take us to the Be Right Back screen, and we'll return to the journal in 1861 shortly. Hello, welcome back. I believe that the advertisements should be done. So let's get back into the journal. Okay, let's see. Yes, her mother came up to talk to her and said, "Fannie, you are not only losing your character by this, but you are ruining your soul." Oh, what a dagger went through my heart. then, she little knew what an impression she had made. She soon after left the room. I longed to throw my arms around her neck and confess all. She went out. I fell on my knees, and mid bitter, bitter tears, and repentance, I implored forgiveness. I fell on my knees, and mid bitter, bitter tears and repentance, I implored forgiveness. Jesus Christ, my beloved Savior, sent a calm into my raging billow. He whispered, "Be still." How wonderful. It is past comprehension. Still can't believe how this kid sounds so much like your elderly grandma used to. I mean, she's 14, but it is 1861. So we did encounter last time, she literally said, OMG. So some teenage things have stayed the same. Hi, Shadows of Life. July 4th, Thursday. I think did we jump another day? Nope, we didn't. This is the saddest and most doleful July that has ever been spent in America. Our country in so deplorable a condition. I went to school today. I'm uncertain exactly how to interpret her very short entry for the 4th of July, but my suspicion is that she was upset about having to go to school because normally the 4th of July would be a holiday, but in the Confederate States of America, it wasn't a holiday anymore. July 5th, Friday. Now, I can't be certain because I actually don't know when we started celebrating the 4th of July as a holiday in the United States. Now I'm curious. When did we start celebrating it? From the outset, Americans celebrated independence on July 4, the date shown on the much publicized Declaration of Independence, rather than on July 2, the date the Resolution of Independence was approved in a closed session of Congress. Okay, but that still doesn't tell me when we started celebrating it. In 1777, 13 gunshots were fired in salute, once at morning and once again at evening, on July 4 in Bristol, Rhode Island. 1778, 79. 1781, Massachusetts became the first state legislature to recognize it as a state celebration. 1870 is when the U.S. Congress turned it into a federal holiday. So it wasn't like an official holiday before the Civil War. But I still wouldn't be surprised if it had some celebrations and whatnot that were no longer there under the Confederate government. July 5th, Friday. Mr. Hall came over this morning to see me. I told him a good deal about myself and felt happier after seeing, though I have a great many doubts and misgivings about this. About what? About what? You haven't indicated what Mr. Hall was coming over for. Was this courtship? What? I don't... Inquiring minds want to know. Saturday, July 6th. Went to church today and felt happy. In the evening, the Watsons came over to see us. The shadows know. Oh, yeah, okay. July 7th, Sunday, 1861. I don't know who added the 1861 in pencil. It is not how she writes 1861, but it is pencil rather than fountain pen, so that could change. Today is one of the most eventful days in my history. Today, I came out and confessed my love for my departed lord and consumed... Wait, and I can't. Something for the first time. It's... clearly having to do with... I think with baptism, etc., but I don't know. All right. That could be E-U-M... I think it's communed for the first time. Like, I think this was her first communion. I think it's misspelled. I believe that is C-U-M-M-U-N-E-D. I felt as happy as any human being could feel. I know that my Redeemer lives. What comfort this sweet sentence gives. Oh! That I may remember this. I have made up my mind, with the help of Christ, to be a holy Christian. one who shows to the world that there is a reality in religion. This same religion we love so much. July 21, Sunday. She originally wrote 22nd, although it looks like RD, which would be 3rd. Anyway, July 21, 1861. Day of the Battle of Manassas, M-A-U-A long S-E-E-S. I don't... That is, in fact, not correct, Google. All right, let's see. Because there's some correction here as well. It might not be an M. Oh! That's because I'm silly. Day of the Battle of Manassas. And because she misspelled it. It is an M. It's M-A-N-A long S-E-S. Or actually, she's got M-A-N-A long S-S-E-S. Which is almost correct. It should be A-S, but... It's the long S that really threw me. But Day of the Battle of Manassas. I have omitted again for several days from writing in this. I want to... It could be went or want. I think it's want. I want to ride with Nellie Buckner and Bet Coleman Tillis. Okay, this one, let's see. All right, Nellie Buckner and Bet Coleman. Yeah, I'm not going to get all these names. I believe it's Tullis. I can't quite get this. I would need to look other places in the journal or try to find census records or something to figure out what that name is. And Cabell being our escorts. She went to ride. Okay. A battle was fought today in Virginia between 80,000 Confederates and 100,000 Federalists. It was fought at Manassas Junction, Virginia, beginning at 4 o'clock a.m. It continued until 9 p.m. Our army at first gave back a little. General Johnson came up soon after, commander of a Louisiana regiment, with a tired set of men who had just marched 50 miles. They fought valiantly. President Davis arrived about noon and immediately made a charge, and such a one as decided the day. Northern loss 5,000, ours about 3,000. Our victory was complete. Federalists threw down their arms and retreated. McDowell strove manfully to detain them, but they made a propitiate retreat, some dropping dead as they retreated from fatigue. President Davis has telegraphed to his friends out here about the battle. His words are, quote, "A glorious but a dearly bought victory. This is the largest battle that has ever been heard of in America." Oh! What awful days these are, and what we have yet to go through with none but God can tell. There is great mourning and sorrow in Washington now. Wagons filled with the dead are crowding into the city. Sunday is a day of thanksgiving and prayer to our God, to thank him and to bless and praise and magnify his holy and all-powerful name, who has given us this great victory, who has given success to our army. Oh! What shall I render to my God for all that he has done for me? He has answered my prayers. Oh, again, that he would put a stop to this awful war. Oh, that he would bring about a calm in this great battle. Five in a row, I know. Now I'm stuck on this word here. B-E-A... Oh, Beauregard. In this great battle, Beauregard, our Bragg commander? It's not Flag. It looks like Bragg. Had his horse shot from under him. Beauregard, General Beauregard, getting his horse shot out from under him. That is definitely a Civil War story that has lasted to today. But God's eye was upon. He knew how much depended on this life, and he spared him to us. These are the battle days, I believe. I'm not certain. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. These are the latter days, I believe. Sorry, another Christianity reference that went over my head. That was an interesting entry with the Battle of Manassas, and the detail that this 14-year-old girl in Mississippi has about what happened at the Battle of Manassas and who the big players were, General Johnson and President Davis and Beauregard, and like the numbers of troops, knowing that Johnson was a commander of a Louisiana regiment. Like, I'm sure, like, hearing the news, some of that, but the sheer amount of like military detail that is in this diary entry of a 14-year-old girl is a bit surprising to me. July 22nd, Tuesday. A pleasant day, went riding this morning and had a very nice time. I spoke with Tullis Watson, Johnny, with Beth Coleman, Sally and Nellie, with Cabell Breckenridge. I rode with Tullis Watson, Johnny with Bet Coleman, Sally and Nellie with Cabell Breckenridge. We had a very pleasant ride. That's more the entries I was expecting from a 14-year-old girl's diary. Social engagements with the local young boys. Coming after a 2-page entry with military detail about the Battle of Manassas. But they were important events happening in the world, and she was clearly paying attention. July 23rd. A cool evening. That's the whole entry. I don't know how common that is. Like, to just, like, why even bother to put an entry if that's all you're gonna say? But then again, I suppose that's no different than, like, what social media statuses were when social media got started. So if anybody's doing weather research, we know that July 23rd in this portion of western Mississippi, it was cool in the evening. July 24th, Wednesday. Knew my lessons pretty well today. got through in time to go to prayer meeting. Mr. Calvin led the meeting, made a very excellent address, about half an hour in length. Quite a good many there. July 25th, Thursday. Got up this morning at 20 minutes of 5 o'clock and studied until breakfast time. How? This is... I'm assuming someone woke her. I don't know how else. I mean, me personally, like, getting up at 4:40 in the morning and then studying seems a bit much. But they are on a plantation, which would mean essentially a farm, agriculture, like getting up early is a thing. But also, they definitely wouldn't have had an alarm clock. So I'm assuming someone woke her at 20 minutes to 5. Because otherwise, I don't know. I mean, I suppose there are people who can just get up when they want. I would not physically be capable of just getting up at 20 minutes till 5 without somebody waking me up. At least back then. Like, I've done it before with an alarm clock, but anyway. I knew all my lessons today very well indeed, and feel happy. But I omitted prayer. Oh! I knew too well the feeling when I have neglected this sacred duty. I know too well the feeling when I have neglected this sacred duty. Oh! What a sinner I am. Emotions feel like giving all up as lost. But then, my Savior, why? I will have something and not sacrifice. Mercy. I will have mercy and not sacrifice. The drama. It's internal drama. But she is been browbeaten by the demands of religion. That it has, like, oh. She got up early and studied until breakfast. Was proud of herself for having been ready at school. But she didn't pray. And that has brought on this very dramatic self-recrimination about how she's a horrible sinner and that she feels like giving all up as lost. I mean, emotional drama of a teenager with self-recrimination and emotional turmoil because of it. That all makes sense. It's just that all of hers is tied to, I'm not doing religion good enough. July 26, Friday. I rose this morning at 4:30 and studied for an hour and practiced almost an hour. Practiced what, I'm wondering. After breakfast, I studied while Sally took her music lesson. Then Essie came to say her lessons. She has begun geography and arithmetic and writing and has only been studying for 2 months and only knew her letters when Mr. Copeland first began with her. I knew all my lessons today very well. No papers today, so we had no more news from the seat of war. July 27th, Saturday. I got up this morning and practiced an hour. Took my music lesson. Immediately after breakfast, and then took my music lesson immediately after breakfast, and then was free for the rest of the day. Mrs. Copeland began a little town suit today for Dora, who is very anxious to be a boy. And Ma has at length consented to her having some boy clothes. I think they will be very pretty when completed. This morning, we were very much excited about Henry's getting something. Gonna zoom in. Excited about Henry's getting all right. We've got T-I-B-E-K-A. Snakebit. I had to go backwards on that one. I had tried it forward too many times. Very much excited about Henry's getting snakebit. Ma made him drink a tumbler full of brandy, which made him a little tippy. We aren't riding this evening with Ellen Watson and no, we aren't. No, we went. We went riding this evening with Ellen Watson and Dora Maddox Johnny, Sally, and I. Or item addicts, sorry. Johnny, Sally, and I. I think this is actually quite interesting. This part here. Mrs. Copeland began a little town suit today for Dora, who is very anxious to be a boy, and Ma has at length consented to her having some boy clothes. We don't know enough context to... It's 1861. There was, like... shadows, yeah. Like, it's 1861. There really wasn't, in 1861 Mississippi, a concept of transgender. So there's no way we could say that Dora was trans. At most, based on this description, Dora would have been maybe considered a tomboy. But in 1861, for a girl to be wearing boys' clothes would have been unusual. That wasn't really something that was done over much. And the way that she writes it, with Dora, who is very anxious to be a boy, that's sort of what it sounds like to me as well, Hannah. And I don't know how old Dora is, but my guess is young. So, yeah, I agree. It sounds like a girl who wants to play with her brothers and doesn't want to wear dresses. So, which would be a typical tomboy. The way it's described here of Dora is very anxious to be a boy, and Ma has at length consented to her having some boy clothes. That's an interesting way to describe it, and I just thought that section was interesting. July 28th, Sunday. Another sweet Sabbath. I wish Sunday came twice a week instead of once a week. Mr. Hall preached a sermon of an hour. It was too much on politics. I consider it very wrong indeed to preach on such a subject. I think politics should be let alone in the pulpit. I consider it sacrilege. This is a day which our government set aside for thanksgiving to God for giving our great victory at Molasses. Sorry, this is... I've never referred to it as Molasses before. Like, I grew up near Manassas, and my brother lives in Manassas. I've never accidentally called it Molasses before. This is a day in which our government set aside for thanksgiving to God for giving our great victory at Manassas. Lord, with all our hearts, we would thank thee. We believe thou art on our side, because we know we are in the right. I taught the servants as usual tonight. I teach them by picking out 2 or 3 verses, or sometimes only one, and then spend half an hour explaining and illustrating those precious truths as minutely as possible. The Battle of Molasses. It was a very slow and sticky battle. Actually, The Battle of Molasses is horrifying. Like, that sounds horrifying. It was a thick battle. Have you all heard of the Great Molasses Flood? We'll leave off on the journal there, and we'll pick up July 29th next time, because you all need to hear about the Great Molasses Flood. Also known as the Boston Molasses Disaster, was a disaster that occurred on Wednesday, January 15th, 1919, in the North End neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts. A large storage tank filled with 2.3 million US gallons of molasses, weighing approximately 13,000 short tons, burst. And the resultant wave of molasses rushed through the streets at an estimated 35 miles per hour. So we think of molasses as slow, but this was hot molasses. Killing 21 people, injuring 150. The event entered local folklore as residents reported for decades afterward that the area still smelled of molasses on hot summer days. Quite possibly, Hannah. Molasses can be fermented to produce ethanol, the active ingredient in alcoholic beverages and a key component in munitions. The disaster occurred at the Purity Distilling Company facility at 529 Commercial Street near Keeney Square. A considerable amount of molasses had been stored there by the company, which used the Harborside Commercial Street tank to offload molasses from ships and store it for later transfer by pipeline to the Purity ethanol plant situated between Willow Street and Everettsy Way in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The molasses tank stood 50 feet tall and 90 feet in diameter and contained as much as 2.3 million gallons. On January 15th, 1919, temperatures in Boston had risen above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, climbing rapidly from the frigid temperatures of the preceding days. And the previous day, a ship had delivered a fresh load of molasses, which had been warmed to decrease its viscosity for transfer. Possibly due to the thermal expansion of the older, colder molasses already inside the tank burst open and collapsed at approximately 12:30 p.m. Witnesses reported that they felt the ground shake and heard a roar as it collapsed, a long rumble similar to the passing of an elevated train. Others reported a tremendous crashing, a deep growling, a thunderclap-like bang, and a sound like a machine gun as the rivets shot out of the tank. The density of molasses is about 1.4 metric tons per cubic meter, 12 pounds per US gallon, 40% more dense than water, resulting in the molasses having a great deal of potential energy. The collapse translated this energy into a wave of molasses 25 feet high at its peak, moving at 35 miles per hour. The wave was of sufficient force to drive steel panels of the burst tank against the girders of the adjacent Boston Elevated Railway's Atlantic Avenue structure and tip a streetcar momentarily off the L's tracks. Stephen Puello describes how nearby buildings were swept off their foundations and crushed. Several blocks were flooded to a depth of 2 to 3 feet. Puello quotes a Boston Post report. Molasses, waist deep, covered the street and swirled and bubbled around the wreckage. Here and there struggled to form. Whether it was animal or human being was impossible to tell. Only an upheaval, a thrashing about in the sticky mass, showed where any life was. Horses died like so many flies on sticky flypaper. The more they struggled, the deeper in the mess they were ensnared. Human beings, men and women, suffered likewise. As molasses is a non-Newtonian fluid, its viscosity changes under stress, thinning and flowing quickly under pressure and heat. During the flood, this sheer thinning resulted in unexpected speed. A 2013 article in Scientific American stated, "A wave of molasses does not behave like a wave of water. A wave of molasses is even more devastating than a typical tsunami. In 1919, the dense wall of syrup, surging from its collapsed tank, initially moved fast enough to sweep people up and demolish buildings, only to settle into a more gelatinous state that kept people trapped." The Boston Globe reported that people were picked up by a rush of air and hurled many feet. Others had debris hurled at them from the rush of sweet-smelling air. A truck was picked up and hurled into Boston Harbor. After the initial wave, the molasses became viscous, exacerbated by the cold temperatures, trapping those caught in the wave and making it even more difficult to rescue them. About 150 people were injured and 21 people and several horses were killed. Some were crushed and drowned by the molasses or by the debris that it carried within. The wounded included people, horses, and dogs. Coughing fits became one of the most common ailments after the initial blast. Yeah, dense. It's a fascinating disaster, and like people hear molasses flood and they think of trying to pour molasses in their kitchen at room temperature. That is not, in fact, what the molasses flood was like. So when you say the Battle of Molasses, what comes to mind is molasses can be deadly. Because Great Molasses Flood. Anyway, I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but it was a fun one. Hopefully this was interesting for you all. Somehow we went from 10 O's to 27 O's. I suspect there will be more as the journal continues. I also think it's almost like hearing about the Emu War. I'm going to have to research the Emu War now because I am not familiar with the Emu War, and now I want to. There's also an archives war in the history of Texas that is quite fascinating. There's a monument to it. But yeah, now I'm going to have to learn about the Emu War. We will return to the journal of Francis Murdoch in about a month. I am getting what I was interested in from this, which is like, it's a very different perspective on the war than I've ever seen before. So 11 in week 1, 16 in week 2. Does this mean it'll be 20 in week 3 or 21 in week 3? Quite possibly. I don't know. Let's see. Next time on Archival Adventures, meaning next Wednesday, it's going to be Spec Fiction Week. And so we will be reading Old Faithful by Raymond Gallen. It is number 11 on our continuing list of classics of science fiction. And then after that, we'll be doing some NASA stuff. And then in 3 weeks, I have a very exciting stream. The Samuel Berger Mathematics Notebook. Yes, I have looked at it, because I was like, math notebook? I wonder what's in that. It's not what I expected. It'll be interesting. That said, how about we need to wrap up a little bit, so I should actually do some credits. Oh look, me. Host me. Production assistant was Jules Crowder Pereira, who didn't do a whole lot to prep this episode, but did select this journal for us to be doing. Thank you, of course, to my moderators, Hannah and Lord Portico, and the music that we've had is by Lo-Fi Girl. Oh, I don't... That's a possibility, Shadows. Let me... need to mute. Okay. Gosh, lots of people are on today. Yeah, I think we can pop on over there and say hello to the Noir Enigma. Noir is part of the Stream Pucks, and so I encourage you to drop by and give support. We'll see if both channels will be able to raid. Hang on one second. I just have to actually like set up raid. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we will get this going. Thank you all very much for joining me today for another archival adventure. Hopefully I will see all of you again soon. Until I do, keep exploring history.